All right, so it's Thursday morning. I'm gonna plant some soybeans here before I head to Arizona. Okay, this is the last planting you have to listen to me video. I'll do a story next week, but I'm doing something really cool, and I want to take you guys with. Hopefully, I can record some footage in Arizona, but I'm doing something that for me here. So we're planting beans. So you guys are gonna listen to me for a little bit here. I hope you like. Seemed like a lot of you guys liked the video last week, so we're gonna do that. Only instead of corn, it's beans, and we're gonna talk about some cool stuff, some cool iron. If you haven't noticed, I really like old iron, tractors, trucks, and I also love old cars. That's been those three things have kind of been my favorite stuff, you know. Next to my family, and farming is kind of my love besides my wife and kids. But I love old iron, and I always said I was going to do something. So I'm going to show you guys a clip of me going into a closing earlier this week. So I'll take you back. You guys can hear the story. I have said for years, well, I'll go back even further. Love these old cars since I was a little kid, especially Mopars. Love old Mopar muscle cars. Grew up in the 80s, and there were no fast cars in the 80s. There just weren't. The cool cars were from the 60s and 70s. 80s cars were slow. I know some of you younger people think like an IROC was like a fast car. They were not. But anyways, so I always loved those cars. When I turned 19, I was able to buy my 71 Dodge Demon 340. So a lot of you guys are familiar with the Dodge Demon, the Challenger Dodge Demon. There was actually another Dodge Demon before that, made in 1972, 1971. And it was basically what a Dodge Demon was a Dodge Dart with a fastback, or you could say it was a Plymouth Duster, but a Dodge. And it had a 340 in it. 340 is a wicked motor. Chrysler, that was one of the best factory hot rods Chrysler did next to the Hemi. And as a matter of fact, for a small block, it shared quite a bit of stuff with the Hemi. And if you don't know what a Hemi is, do some research on 426 Hemi. One of the greatest, probably the most famous motorsports engine of all time, really. All the drag cars and tractor pulling stuff today, the modifies that is based off of the 426 Hemi. But anyways, the Demon had a 340 motor, and they were a fast car. They were part of Plymouth had a thing, and Dodge had a thing of all their vehicles that could cut a 14-second quarter mile. Dodge called it the Scat Pack. Plymouth called it the Rapid Transit System. And the Demon was part of that. And anyways, I wanted one for years. When I was 19, I was able to buy one. And along the way, life happens and stuff, and I ended up buying a new pickup. Well, then at 21, I was making a deal to buy my first piece of ground. Then the pickup had to go. All the toys had to go. Fast forward a few years later, I end up buying a 68 Dodge Coronet RT 440. Love the 68 Dodges on the Coronet and the Super D. The Coronet RT was the fast one. Super D was fast. And it needed a lot. It was a basket case. And I got it running, did a lot of mechanical work to it to finally get this thing back on the road after all the years. I didn't do any of the body work or anything like that. but I got it running and driving, and I actually sold that when I built a pulling tractor, and then the pulling tractor just went away because of farming and a wife, family, and got out of pulling. So I've never been able to keep toys because I had farming, and also a family, but farming took a lot to buy land and stuff. So I always dreamed of buying a Hemi car. That's any of the Dodge Plymouth cars that had a Hemi from 1966 to 1971. And in our location, we're really close to the Twin Cities metropolitan area. So there's a demand for building lots. And I always said, you know what, someday after, not having these toys and that I'm going to have my Hemi car. I'm going to sell one lot and I'm going to buy a Hemi. So, and I always meant someday. We say that. Well, someday I'm going to do this. And, you never really think right now or anything. And, I thought when I got older, and I don't know, I'm 47 now, so I don't know what I meant by when I got older. But it wasn't a planned thing to do now. But this winter, a friend of mine was coyote hunting one of my farms. I should say our farms, because I have a family, wife, and kids, But a friend of mine was coyote hunting one of our farms, and he said, hey, I got a buddy that's looking for a building lot. He wants to build a house. What about that farm up there? Because I own part of it. There's somebody else owns part of that up there too. It's split up. It's 120 acres, and I guess we have 95. They have 25 or something like that. And I said, well, they wouldn't sell. And I said, I wouldn't sell. But I got thinking about it. I had this piece of ground that I had bought 8 years ago that was kind of rough ground, and we did a lot of work to it and fixed it up. And bought it, when the market was kind of not great. And these people had set it up as far as, get zoning wise. It was zoned rural flex, and they put in a really long well driveway, and they had it set up to that this driveway could be transferred to multiple people, and they had planned on lotting this off, and in a really good location as far as good area to get to Hudson, Wisconsin, or Twin Cities and stuff. So the market was just kind of soft. So it wasn't awesome farmland, so I did a lot of work to that ground. I fixed the waterways, took trees out of that, and tiled it, fixed the fertility. And I always said, well, that would be the one, you'd sell something off, because it was just investment kind of property. It wasn't, none of this was land that I grew up with. I'm really attached to a couple pieces of ground that are very important to me. But that wasn't one of them. It was just it was some dirt. That's what it was a good deal. And I said, I'd maybe sell something off of that one. I said, tell them to go drive by there, and they liked it. And I found out, kind of what it was worth. I talked to a realtor, and I was pretty surprised. I mean, I knew it was valuable, but it was a little more valuable than I thought. And I went, this is my chance. By golly, I'm gonna do this. I'm getting my Hemi car, and obviously everybody in my family was thrilled. My wife was like, "This is a great idea to waste a bunch of money on an old car." She doesn't think that old cars are. She thinks that newer is better than cars. That's where we for the most part we get along awesome. I disagree with her there. So anyway, I'm like, yeah, And this is time. This is time. So that's what I was gonna do. So a couple months ago, you know, I always keep an eye out for these cars, you know, but I started specifically looking a couple months ago for the right car. And I'm chopping along, and you know, we're gonna make a deal on this, but before I could make that deal, though, I thought, you know, we need to help young farmers out because there's just not a ton of opportunity. So I called a young guy that was farming, didn't own any land, renting a barn and stuff and a farm. And I said, hey, I got a deal for you. I'll sell you this land. This guy only wanted like 10 acres. And there was the piece is 35 acres. And there's a driveway up the middle which left a 15-acre field on the one side. That's where the lot was going to come off. And I said, you know, here's a chance for a young guy to buy a piece of ground that you could buy almost all tillable. 14 of the 15 acres was tillable. And I thought, you know, hey, that's a good ratio. And it was a lot of money, but per acre, right? Which all farmland is. But it's a small enough piece that he can buy it, and he could at least, you know, by doing that, you know, get it paid down, and then he could turn around and sell it or borrow against it. Because the deal I told him was, I will sell it to you for the farmland price, the per acre price of what that would be worth if it was just farmland, you know, on a bigger piece. And this guy was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then he got nervous about it. He goes, man, I just don't know if I want to let, you know, market goes down, whatever, etc. It makes me nervous, don't it? And I guess it's fine. I mean, it worked out better for me because I was able to sell this lot, just these 10 acres off for, you know, really good money. And I get to farm whatever the guy doesn't build the house on of that 10 acres. It's a good deal for me, but I felt like I needed to give somebody an opportunity because there's been 7 different real estate purchases that I've made to make my farm. And that doesn't mean that I have 7 different farms. What that meant was there's been 7 different parts to my farm, and some of them I've sold to get the stuff I have. So, you know, there's been a lot to it, you know, and trading up, and I thought that was a good way that a young person can do it, but you know, if you didn't want to do it, it was one of them things. So this farm, like I said, was not one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, this is I've worked this land with my family for years or anything like that. It wasn't. It was just some dirt, and you know, and it wasn't part of a big piece where I have to farm around this house in the middle of a big farm. It wasn't anything like that. So it worked out really good for me to do this, and you're never just gonna have that money laying around. These cars are expensive, and it's like, you know, I kind of got one shot to do this. As the kids get even older and stuff, and there'll be things they'll need, and I kind of figured this is my shot unless I retire from farming, you know, and start selling stuff off. I really didn't want to do that. So anyway, we closed. So anyways, yeah, I've been shopping for cars and getting ready for this, and by golly, we did it. We closed this week, and I had found a car that I haven't felt that way about a car since my 1971. Since my 71 Dodge Demon 340. When I saw it, I couldn't even sleep. I was like, that's the car, So it's supposed to storm this afternoon, so I booked a flight to get down there to make the deal. Now, if it doesn't storm, I'm really gonna feel like a terrible farmer, because there's still a little bit of farming left to do, and I've still got some tiling to do. So, so I'll feel a little bad about that. But it's supposed to storm later on today, and it's supposed to get rain tomorrow. And I'll fly right back tomorrow. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But yeah, I'm excited about it. Nervous about I don't know. Just nervous about doing it. It's not a Hemi though. And I was originally like, I'm going to spend all of this on a Hemi. And Hemi cars are expensive. They are. And no, I'm not buying a cheap car, but I wanted a B-body Mopar Hemi. Specifically, I always said like the dream was a 68 Hemi Super B, but I really like the Coronet RT, which their Super B and the Coronet RT are pretty much almost identical, except Super B and 68, the Coronet RT in 68 can only be a hardtop, and the Super B in 68 can only be a coupe. So but they look a lot alike. They're very similar cars. So I've been looking for 68 Super Bs. 68 Super Bs are pretty low production. Coronet RTs are fairly low, but there is a few more of them than there was Super Bs. 69 that changed, it flipped. But anyway, I was looking at some Hemi cars, and I went, if I don't spend this whole amount of money, right, then I can still spend a fair amount without spending all of it. Do a few things that pay off a little debt, stuff. So I was still looking at Hemi cars, but the cheapest way into a Hemi car is a 1966 street Hemi, and it would be in like a Coronet, Satellite, Belvedere, Charger, or 68 or 69 Plymouth Roadrunner with a Hemi. Because those are, and the reason I say they're cheaper is because those are some of the higher production ones. So none of the Hemi cars are super common, but those would be the more available ones, and the price is a little more reasonable. So I was looking at those, and then I looked at some 6-pack cars, 440 6-pack, 6-barrel on a Plymouth. And if you don't know what that means, it's a 440 6-barrel 6-pack, 440 cubic inch big block with. The 6-pack comes from a 6-barrel carburation setup, which means there's 3 2-barrel carburetors. So they're eye candy. 3 carburetors under this big air cleaner. It's really awesome. And I was looking at some of those, and generally they're a step down from a Hemi price-wise. They can be. You can have a cheaper Hemi car and a super expensive 6-pack car. That matter. It kind of depends on the model, because a B-body Mopar tends to be a little less money than an E-body or something. And I like the B-body. To me, that is a muscle car. So I was looking at some of these, 6-barrels and Hemis and all that stuff. I ended up, finding a 68 Coronet RT like I had, only I've never seen another one like it, and I just truly thought it was amazing. So I'm flying down to make the deal on that. Yeah. Hopefully it shows up here. We'll get it trucked home, and I'm looking forward to that. And here's the other way I'm looking at this, because like there's some people that just can't fathom, can't even imagine ever selling any kind of here. Like I said, this isn't family land. I didn't inherit any family land. We've only got a deal. Oh, and that's what I was going to say earlier. Is of all the 7 different real estate transactions, I've only ever gotten a deal on one where somebody cut us a deal. They wanted us to have a deal. So this was my way of trying to pay it forward with a younger farmer, and he didn't want to do it, and that's fine. I'd like to hope that I'll help a young farmer when I retire. Hopefully it's one of my kids. If not, I'll do my best to try and help somebody out. But anyways, yeah. So I didn't feel bad about it. And this, oh gosh, it's land. You can never get rid of land. Man, I tell you what, I bought sold to get where I am. And that's, if you never bought anything because you wanted the exact perfect piece, what happens is you never hedged against the appreciation of land. So at least if you had bought something else, you had something you could trade off, And so that's what I have done. And it worked out good. But that if one of my kids wants to farm, that's great. I doubt very highly they're all going to want to farm. They don't now. There's one that really, two actually. They kind of seem like they really like farming, right? But if you sorry, I'm trying to find my mark in the corn stalks here. I'm no-tilling these beans, so I missed my mark here, and I was trying to find it. I apologize, but anyways, to never do anything but farm might be okay for the kids that want to farm, but for the rest of them, they don't. Their memories with me aren't going to be as much fun. And as a farmer and doing tile, I stayed really busy. I just can't do it all to get away a lot, to have a camper or something like that. I just can't. We've got to do some traveling for doing these videos and stuff. So I don't have time for a lot of this stuff, going water skiing, fishing, traveling a lot on vacation. So I do have time in the summer and the evening to go for a drive and go check crops, and take the kids up in the evening to go get ice cream. I could do that, and I think they'll have some memories with the car. I hope so. Maybe we can even go to a car show or two. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. So I'm gonna try and shoot a little footage down there. We'll see if he'll let me. He might not, but I'm not gonna turn this into like coffee walk where that's all I do is focus on car stuff. No, but I'm really excited about this, and I figure I know there's farmers that love cars same way as I do, and semis, all that stuff. We tend to be, gearheads. So yeah, so let's see if we can shoot a little footage down there. He seems like a great guy, so hopefully he lets me. And yeah, I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna edit this. But yeah, it's another me video. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But some of you guys actually seem to like these. So. Well, anyways, all right. I gotta keep going. So we will talk to you guys later on. So I'm going in to do a closing, and I always said I would do this, but wasn't planning on it right now. But it just kind of stars aligned. It just sort of worked out, and yeah. So we're actually gonna go sell 10 acres of land. I'm excited about it. Yeah, this is a pretty cool thing. And because I get to do something that I've wanted to do for a long time. One of the few things other than farming that I really enjoy. Farming and my family is probably definitely the most important things to me. I don't really have a lot of other fun, but now I will. We're gonna do something that I used to do, and I get to now again. Really excited about this. So I think I'm going to bring you guys along this week because it's been a busy week planting, and then I've got to do this thing. So, yeah. So, landed in Phoenix, and finally, this is the whole reason I came out, was for this car right here. This 68 Dodge Coronet RT, and it's just a 440 car, but even a 440 car, they're still relatively rare. You know, they're definitely rarer than a Roadrunner.
Battery, so
yeah.
The light will come on the door.
Oh yeah.
And like that.
Beautiful, but the color combination of with a white car, red interior, red bumblebee stripe, and a black vinyl top is just amazing. Less than 20,000 actual miles on this car. It is beautiful. You know, and all the documentation on this car since it was new. That's the warranty stuff and sticker put on when the car was bought. If you listen to that door, that's a solid door. Yeah, it's unreal. So I saw this car online, and we quick got going on it. This was just the car. So I love the 68. 68 Super B Coronet RT. I had a 68 Coronet RT before, and saw this one, and this is just beautiful. It really is. And then there's another car over here that's just really cool. Oh, and the black taillight panel looks really good with the color too. So I've only seen, I think, one of these in person in my life, and it was a 70, and this is a 71 Plymouth Sport Fury GT. The GT's 71 had I think these they got the 375 horsepower in 71.
You could.
Yep. So you could get a 6-barrel, but this is unbelievable.
And I believe that one has the 6-barrel bottom end.
Really?
A lot of 440s got that 6-barrel bottom end. You can tell by the balance on the front.
Yeah. But this is all original. How many miles are on this car?
60,000.
60,000 miles. 50. Okay. So she's black with a black interior.
Yeah, open it up.
AC car. Power windows. Cruise.
Yep.
Bucket seats. What's so cool about the Sport Fury GT is if you look at this car, it's as big as a 1-ton pickup.
And the trunk can hold 13 boxes.
Yep, you can put a lot of gangsters in there. And they were a part of, Plymouth had the rapid transit system. these cars would cut a 14-second quarter mile. And if you look, the stripe package in 71, just cool.
Yeah, and the concealed headlights too.
Yeah. Yep. Rally wheels. Are these 15s on these?
Yes.
They should be. They're a big car,
Yeah.
but yeah, just stunning. They are just, you know,
Crank this over.
clock. Yeah. So yeah, I was so, you know, interested in seeing this car in person. Wow. Yeah. Well, those 68 marker lights are iconic.
Yes.
Well, they had designed the car, and then the federal government said, oh, you got to put, you know, marker lights on the side. So they just quick came up with them round ones, and they're beautiful.
Was I also close to that? I looked at the was too close.
No.
I wasn't too close.
No.
Look
Nope.
in the mirror.
Yeah, she's,
Nice car, huh?
yeah. All right, so I'm in Phoenix. It's Friday morning. I'm getting ready to head out here. I'm gonna eat some breakfast and then get all the paperwork on the car. Made the deal. The wire is there, and I'm heading home. But kind of interesting. So in the airport yesterday, on my way down, I ran into the guys from Mopars 5150. Really cool talking to those guys, and just kind of funny heading down to buy this car and run into those guys. But anyway, yeah, really excited about this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll have a good story for everybody, you know, this week. I'll record one, but it's really hard with this camera. I don't know. Is my eye contact better? Well, anyways, yeah, I'm going to get back home. I'm excited to get back home, and I'm really excited to get the car home. That's going to be hauled for me. But she's only got 740 miles on it. I don't want to put another 10% of the miles on it driving it home, not to mention if you hit any weather or anything. And the car probably hasn't been driven 100 miles in the last, I don't know how many years. So anyways, but we're going to get it out some, for definitely. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Then we'll go back to stories, as they'd say, you know, the old our regular scheduled programming here. But we're about finishing up with planting. I hope Sunday I can probably finish planting. I think it'd be a little bit wet. Supposed to get a little more rain today, I guess, but we should be able to finish planting and spraying, and then I got tiling to do, and before you know it, fencing and haying, and yeah, anyways, don't want to think about it. A lot of tiling to do. So anyways, thank you, everybody. Yeah, thanks to the guys from Mopars 5150. It's cool to meet you guys. So, all right, you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you, I guess we'll talk to you next week.